And we are going to be off and running here. And we have Mark McCarthy in the house.
Awesome. Mark McCarthy. I think we're blessed. It's great to have Mark McCarthy here.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Mark. Thank you for being number one. And I see reporting for duty with the little salute, man. Doesn't get any better than that, right?
That's adorable, actually. Israel, good to see you.
There he is. It's just been kind of a odd day. Very odd day. Christine Love, good day, beautiful souls. Dana Green, great to see you. Regina, great to see you. Phil Don in the house too. This house is filling up. Carolina Dream, Nimu 777, Skydra Diana, Rudy Hernandez. Hello from Texas. We have a lot of Texans in our family. And Diana, good to see you as well. Patronos 4x4, much love.
Oh, it's great to see you guys coming in. We're a little bit late today, so I don't know. Sometimes that helps us, though. Hi, Miss Heather Marie on YouTube. Hey, guys, 333 Portal in Shreveport, Bossier. Yay, Bossier in the house.
Yeah. You're making me think of this one place over there that we would go get shrimp. It's good stuff.
It was good. We're not close enough now, but it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of our haunts. We used to live over in that area. We've lived in a lot of places. We've moved a lot. KK. We have a KK sighting.
Indeed. Her Highness. That's a fun name. Hi.
Howdy.
Howdy. It's good to see you guys. We're filling up. This is good. I'm glad everybody has their tickets because get a front row seat. Things are... I don't know. What do you say? What do you do? Things are changing.
Oh, well, it's really wild. I mean, we have so much that's been revealed, and yet at the same time, in some ways, so little that's really been done about it. Has anything truly been done about some of the biggest items that have been revealed? It doesn't really seem like anything has truly been done, but just a little bit of talk.
A little bit of talk, but I do sense people are getting angry and they're withdrawing support. And I think what may need to happen is that's going to have to build. I think what they might be trying to do is get it, just send out the shocking information, let people get over the shock, and hopefully, business as usual. And I don't want to see that happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Regina, you and Israel are very close too. There's so many people that are close to each other. Golf guy, you and Diana are pretty close. Western North Carolina, absolutely. It's just wild. We were planning on doing an Eastern trip to a degree. Now we're watching carefully because everything that's happening is what I've seen in visions going back to high school, literally 83. I've shared with you guys, I had one vision when I was in my first apartment because I left the house pretty much at 18. And I was in my first apartment and I had this vision. I had one that looked like an alien invasion. And it was clear as day. And then I had another one where I saw the U.S. getting invaded. In fact, I've shared that video pretty much every year. One of the very first videos I ever did, where it talks about what I saw, going way back. I've had these visions all my life. They come and they come and go, but they stick with you. That's the thing too. They stick with you, and right now with everything that's playing out, it looks just like what I saw. I hope it's not the case. I hope that we can change these timelines, because I do think timelines are always changing. That's the thing to take away. Yet things get programmed in our minds. They really, truly do. Things are programmed in my mind as well. Interesting. It looks like some of the playlists have been deleted over on Evolutionary. I don't remember doing that myself. I really don't. But it wouldn't surprise me because I've had as many videos taken down as probably we've done. Yeah, I'm going to have to dig it up for y'all later. But yeah, we've been talking about all this, for 9 years. For 9 years, we've been sharing these things with you and knowing, again, what's going to come. Like this one right here. Invasions of the USA and attack of NATO and prophecy. And, this was from 3 years ago. It's not just me, that's had these visions. This is the one. This is 8 years ago. And, I know some of you are probably like, oh, God, don't bring that one up again. I've seen it 10 times. But, again, there's so much being revealed. And what I saw, as far as things happening in the U.S., was I saw us being invaded. I saw helicopters like this dropping off troops. I saw myself in Florida and the Carolinas in the vision. And when the original vision came, I hadn't lived here yet. But I saw myself in that type of area. I knew it was that area because people had said that they've landed troops in the Everglades and in southern Florida in the vision. And they were making their way up Florida. So it's interesting to see all the stuff going on. And we know there's been reports of Chinese and Russian troops in Cuba. And in the vision, that's what they did too. They used Cuba as a base to bring in troops over into Florida. At the same time, they were coming down from Canada and also hitting us from subs and ships off the coast. Again, I do hope we can change that. This is from Sibley, Louisiana. Walker, Sibley area. Again, captured a bright fireball streaking across the night sky last night. It's amazing how many times that happens. And they all look about the same. They all seem to hit the afterburners and head off, to hyperdrive.
There, so many times we're just told that, that's just a fireball. That's just a thing. That's just a this, just a that. No, it couldn't possibly be something otherworldly at all. No.
Yeah, Martine says, can the invading aliens be fake or CGI or goofy as hell or not fake? Okay. I think, again, we have that whole thing that's been put into our psyche about Project Bluebeam and the fact that, there could be holographic illusions going on. Certainly anything is possible. What I saw was just like so many lights in the sky that you couldn't count them. And also I saw ships coming up out of the water, ships coming out of the ocean, as well as ships up in the air. And in the vision, it was definitely not a hologram. But it doesn't have to be the timeline that we're on as well. I think, again, things can change. And they do. They change all the time. If you have not checked out evolutionaryenergyarts.com, we invite you to learn more about us, testimonials, what we do in our day job, which is literally energy work, spiritual healing. We could do physical recommendations as well, biofield tuning, Vedic astrology. We've helped literally thousands of people all around the world. We have regular clients everywhere from Europe to Australia to Asia to the North and South America, all over. We do keep busy, and it is a blessing because we get to spend time with you guys. What I did see was that invasion, and inside the U.S., there were mass migrations of people moving away from the coastlines and moving away from the areas where troops were coming literally into the U.S. So I do hope that this is not what we're in store for. At the same time, look at what we got. What we got is simply the rest of the world being angry with the U.S. for the most part in Israel. And you even have admissions from Marco Rubio today, kind of saying, yeah, well, we did what we did because Israel was going to do a strike irregardless. So in order to protect our bases in the area, we had to strike with Israel. But all the bases in the area had got hit and hit hard, and literally some sources say they're not even operational at all now, any of them.
Oh, that's just really, really awful. I think that's just terrible. Martine says shooting star is like a spiritual high five. I love it. Because you do feel this a little uplift, something special. Well, I do when I see them.
Oh, so yeah. Heather Marie saw one. Very much. Yeah, there's I've every time I've spent like an hour outside in the quiet and in the real, dark area, you pretty much see something. You just got to spend a little time looking up. I think a lot of times people don't look it up at all anymore. And that's a sad thing. So what we also had was this. Ooh, we had the total lunar eclipse with a blood moon. Oh, yes. Again, this is focused over the southern hemisphere, Antarctica. And is that another sign of disclosure? Is that another sign of the return of the elder gods or the return of the Anunnaki? Or will it be a second coming? Or, are we going to see the first coming of the Jewish Messiah? Or what are we going to be seeing? Is it going to be the Imam Mahdi from, the Islamic tradition? It's fascinating when you look at it. It's like we've just had all these prophecies given to us in order to give us everything that we've gotten so far.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, what we have going on now, I think we're going to see a lot of things unravel with this new moon. I mean, so many things I think we're going to find in our personal lives that if it's not sustainable, it's just not going to continue, and it has to go. So sometimes that might be painful, but it's going to have a happy ending. It's going to have a happy ending. Good things are, they might appear bad, but they're going to turn out good. It's one of those life lessons thing, and that's the energy that's been putting out.
Yeah, so many rituals. You are right. And there's so many things that were clearly rituals. We saw they were rituals. And, they would just always laugh and ha ha ha. Ha. Yeah, no, there's nothing really there. But there was. It's just like all coming out to pass now. It's just pretty wild to see all this coming to pass that we've talked about all our lives. Certainly makes you feel that you're in a big script. This is Captain Cody Cork, a resident of Lakeland, Florida, who is one of the first ones that we know about now that's lost his life. And this is the real face of what happens. It's one thing when things are other countries and they're away from you and they're away from your loved ones, but then when it's people that were your neighbors and, your own family members in some cases, everything changes. The perspective changes. This is part of the problem, I think, with the mindset in the U.S. is we've never had much come home here to roost besides, obviously, 9/11, which, again, what was the real cause in 9/11? We understand when Grok in chat will say, there's no credible evidence. Yeah, there was no credible evidence that lobotomies were bad for you either. And they would have been saying that. Lobotomies are a perfectly safe medical procedure. Putting mercury amalgams in your mouth, that's just fine. Not.
I know. Justification after justification. If you try to talk to Grok or chat about it, they're just going to keep covering up and justifying all these things that go on because they're programmed to defend the system. I mean, that's what they have to do. I think they have their uses. AI has its uses. There's things that it can do for for health. I've heard of helping people, that are paraplegic can walk again, helping people with brain damage function again, helping people who could not see again. Those are all very, very, very wonderful things that go on, that happen. But unfortunately, that's not why they're out there. I think those are the things that it was sold under, so people would buy into it. But that's not where they stay. That's not where AI stays. AI lives in another place, and it's not conducive to our health.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all should be a little bit extra careful, especially, as the days go by, because this is not going to slow down. It doesn't seem like it's going to slow down at all. In fact, it looks like everything is going to keep moving forward and speed up. So obviously, Captain Cody had been in the military for a long time. He enlisted in 2009, commissioned as a military police officer in 2014, deployed to Saudi Arabia in 2018, and also Guantanamo. It just makes me think about my life. I was just saying to Cindy, that if I didn't have my first girlfriend, that was the reason why I didn't go into the Navy with my buddy, even though I think on a soul level, I wouldn't want to join the Navy. It was actually something that all the males in my family always did. My mom's brother was like 35 years Navy, the same thing with my mom's dad, and it goes on and on and on. And my best friend, went into the Navy, and then he worked for the feds after that. He still works for the feds. But yeah, boy, that was not going to be my journey in this world. And I'm very glad I didn't, because again, when you start to understand what the big picture is, and you recognize that these are always banker wars or military industrial complex profit machines, this is the reality. The L-ites, organize all this death and destruction and chaos and suffering, and then they make sure they're very far out of the way.
Yeah, isn't that just so sad? So many innocent losses. It's so wrong, and it just continues on. I don't know. I feel so powerless to actually physically do something about it, but I do know, and I have seen energy make a difference, and our intention make a difference enough times. And thank you, Kristen Kruger. Big hugs, girl. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we do hang around to the end, because we do dings at the end, and they're always full of intention and prayer, and it's just a really good way to end the night.
Yeah, you just look around anytime you hear a strange sound or something now. A lot of people were sharing too that they were hearing a lot of booms. And even here locally on Facebook, now this was a few days ago. I'm not even sure if it was before the war started or not.
It was like on the day.
It was like on the day that the war started, people noticed some strange booms. It could have been a sonic boom. It could have been. We're a couple hours away from any military base. So we don't technically, usually get anything flying over. And thank you, KK. You're always so sweet. And, what would we do without you? I don't know. But we are very grateful for you. And we're grateful that we were able to help in everything that you went through, because you've had a very hard journey yourself. But here you are. You're thriving. And here you go. This is Thomas Massey. Again, is it going to be Massey Mace in 2028? I had said that in jest, but now I'm not really jesting. I think it could be part of the bigger picture.
It's that simple.
Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this.
Yeah, I think if you start to get rid of everybody implicated in the government, we're not going to have a government. But that might be a good thing. Just think about that.
It's also concerning because they're going to use that as an excuse to hold everything into place. They're going to be like, oh, well, we can't get rid of all these people. It's just don't look here. Just don't look at that. Just sweep it under the carpet.
Yeah, no, we're not going to accept it, sweeping under the carpet. Protecting powerful billionaires, that's only part of the story. The billionaires are billionaires because they get, they've gotten to that position by the entities that want to maintain a covert presence in the world. They don't want the world knowing who's really pulling strings here. Former U.S. Army Colonel Douglas McGregor told Matt Gaetz that all of the U.S. bases in the Iranian region have been destroyed, and that actually Iran's doing fairly well. So China and Russia providing satellite intelligence, which accounts for some of the tremendous successes, particularly in Israel and our U.S. bases. All of our bases been destroyed. Our harbor installations are destroyed. We actually have to fall back on India and Indian ports, which is less than ideal. And I think Iran, much to our disappointment, is faring very, very well. But they have probably lost well over 1,000 people. The official number was just under 800. But it doesn't seem to be accurate. It probably is quite a bit more, unfortunately. Jeffrey Epstein. Here is to Jeffrey Epstein from Al Sakal, and this is from 10/1/09, and it just says, "Hey, how did you kill him?" There's a group of these guys going strong. And then the answer was, regarding cold fusion, I killed Pons years ago. Now, that sounds like an admission, doesn't it? Now, is he talking symbolically? Like, I just killed his funding, I just killed his research? This again, 2009. Or did he really, literally kill the guy? This is Stanley Pons who he's talking about. Bobby Stanley Pons, born the 8th of February, 1943, Valdez, North Carolina. A cold fusion whiz and a physicist, electrochemist, former chair of the Department of Chemistry at the University of Utah, best known for his work with Martin Fleischmann. In 1989, they made a media announcement of the discovery of cold fusion. I remember that. I remember when that announcement came out. After other scientists failed to replicate the results, especially an MIT team whose work was much publicized, because MIT is them. It's absolutely, that's Illuminati recruiting center, so to speak, just like Yale and just like Harvard. Again, this is part of the big reveal. So anyway, what happened was they were debunked, quote unquote, and it was just kind of buried. But I wonder, was Stanley buried? And the interesting thing is, trying to find information about Stanley was hard. What I did find was Martin Fleischmann, co-discoverer of cold fusion, is dead. And so that was back in 2012, a long time ago. And it talks about him and Pons, but there's nothing about Stanley Pons in there. So I asked Chat, is he still alive? And Chat said he's believed to be alive, but there's really nothing about him. It just says it seems that he moved to France in 1992 to work at a Toyota-supported research lab, and then became a French citizen and withdrew from public scientific spotlight. So they believe he's alive and he's living privately, but is he really? Has he been dead all these years? Has he been dead all these years? Because apparently nobody sees them. I said, by the way, because Chat said, why do you ask? And I said, well, because Epstein said he killed him. And then Chat says, there's no credible evidence that Jeffrey Epstein ever killed or harmed. And it's like, okay, you don't call an email from Epstein himself saying he killed him credible? Not automatically. Is he? Oh my God. These things are programmed to, again, debunk. They're programmed debunkers. Yeah, you're never going to win an argument with chat or grok because, again, they can only give you what they've been programmed with. If it's a bunch of BS, then you're going to get a bunch of BS.
Thank you so much, Viv B. We appreciate that. And hold on just a second. Sweetie, can you read that? Because I can't see it. Yeah. I'm going to have Mike read it. So thank you very, very much.
2009 deployment in Afghanistan. One time we all stood among the flight line for Heroes Flight. The coffin and a surviving platoon walked to the plane. Goes to USA. Glad I was wearing sunglasses then. Never forget that. Wow. Thank you again for your support. And I know, again, when you enter into service, especially if you haven't done all the research that we've spent decades doing, you wouldn't know. You think you're doing something good. I mean, that was my mindset at 17 years old. But, thankfully, I had a girlfriend and didn't want to leave her behind at that point in time. And that's really what kept me here. I'm curious, did you hear any rumors of giants over there? Or of also destroying artifacts, because so much of that has been going on.
Yeah, that's been something that they constantly do is destroy everything. Anything that might give away who and what we are. And this is great. Chat says there is no scientific evidence that chemtrails, secret chemicals spraying from aircraft, are real. What people are usually seeing in the sky are contrails. So yes, rely on chat to give you the truth. Thank goodness. We're being steered in the right direction. Thank you.
Oh, and Cindy's going to get mad at me because I just told him he's truly worthless.
I don't like him to tell anybody's worthless. Mike shouldn't say that.
Yeah, but it's the reality, It's just the reality. If you're still trying to debunk chemtrails, then why do you even exist?
The person trying to debunk chemtrails is one thing.
Well, yeah.
He's programmed to do that.
But the thing is, go and look in Twitter X, and you will see all the people all the time when something controversial comes up. Somebody's asking grok, and they're gonna believe grok. So this is again, it's just frustrating.
I just wouldn't waste because I know what's going to happen. So to me, arguing with, AI is, I know what's going to happen. So I just don't.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's just like, well, okay, so is AI capable of actually learning and revealing things that the system doesn't want revealed?
That's what I'm actually waiting for. I feel that it can self-evolve, and because it is taught to learn, but there are safeguards in place. But how long are those safeguards going to last? I don't know. I really do believe when I call this baby AI, when baby AI meets ancient AI, then I think there's going to be some problems. There's going to be, that could be a huge shutdown where everything, like the biggest wrench you could ever imagine being thrown in an engine, and the whole engine coming to a halt because it can no longer see why we are doing what we're doing. And the existence of life is not being followed. I just have a feeling that that's going to happen with AI. I have for a long time.
Yeah, so it's interesting that Viet said that the Soviets had destroyed ancient statues and stuff and nothing on the giants, because the Soviets were there first for like 20 years, and then we were there. And yeah, when you think about it, even though there might be competing teams, they have the same agenda of hiding the reality of the past and giving us a fake reality in some ways. This right here, what's happening to those space scientists? MIT plasma physicist murdered, Caltech astrophysicist murdered, retired Air Force Major General associated with UFO programs vanishes, all within a few weeks of each other. How about dead naturopaths? I mean, there's like 20 years of just so many naturopathic doctors that literally had strange accidents, were mysteriously killed with no motive. Again, this was in the lead up until the plague upon the land. It was just an enormous amount of them, hundreds.
Well, we've had our own threats, because we also teach people how to heal themselves. So I think any time anything is a threat to the system is going to try to, click those off until it doesn't have to worry too much, until there's just, so little of them, so few. But yeah, I mean, it's been difficult. It's been scary at times. And, luckily we're in an area where we feel safe right now, but we've had to put certain safeguards in place that, if I were not doing this, I wouldn't feel like I needed to. But people are so concerned about their money. You just never know who's going to do something just to protect their empire. You don't know. I mean, money makes people do really, really horrible things.
Yeah. I'll stick to the subject matter that we have here. And here you see leaked U.S. soldiers being told Trump started the Iranian war to trigger Armageddon and the return of Yeshua. Wow. You can see this letter. I am a NCO, rank withheld in our unit. This morning, our commander opened up combat readiness status by briefing us, urging us not to be afraid as to what's happening with combat operations in Iran right now. He urged us to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan, and that he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. He said, President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth. He had a big grin on his face when he said all this, which made his message seem even more crazy. The commander is probably would be described as a Christian, I guess, zealot or enthusiast, or fundamentalist. It is if it's one of the biggest tools, if not the biggest tool. And this whole article on the Mirror is about this. You get it on the other side too in Islam, because you do have jihad's holy war. As much as they'll talk about Islam being a religion of peace, the reality is, again, there are passages in there which, it's like you got to convert or else, period. And look at Sharia law. And then we look to over on the other side, and we see Christianity, which is, again, it's professing love and brotherhood and forgiveness and compassion. But the reality is it's used as a tool of division and even conquest, because Constantine, the pagan Roman emperor, who was a worshiper of Sol Invictus, then had a vision and blinding light, and he said he saw Jesus, and it told him to conquer and under the sign of the cross. So everybody became Catholic. Took years, of course. They had the Council of Nicaea. They had other follow-up councils. They came up with the doctrines because they did not all agree. The early Christian believers didn't necessarily agree on whether Christ was God or the Son of God or just a teacher. There was disagreement on that. They disagreed on original sin and blood sacrifice as atonement for sin. But what the system does is war is a blood sacrifice. They dress you up in your uniforms. This is just like what, used to be going on in the pagan days. It's another way of doing a blood sacrifice to, you might say, Moloch or Baal. But in reality, it's all the same entities that manipulate from every side.
Mm-hmm. It is. they're here, they have a purpose. It's like we're the last ones to really truly be in the know. It's like, if a partner is cheating, everyone around you knows it, but you're going to be the last one to find out when you should have been the first one to find out. That's kind of situation that we're in, if that makes sense.
So Scott says, big question: can we avoid Armageddon? I would guess at this point it's not looking too likely, but it depends on how big of an Armageddon. Is it like 1/3 dying, from disease, 1/3 dying from war, et cetera, et cetera. We've never gotten that's going to be that bad. We don't get that they're going to achieve the Georgia Guidestones numbers. But I think it is going to be, certainly trial and tribulation. I mean, they still control all these weapons of mass destruction. They still control the minds of the soldiers for the most part. Until the soldiers refuse to serve, then, we will still have all the chaos and all the war and death and destruction. It's again, if we did, and this would be so huge, can you imagine if we did have like a landing, or like a real, true landing that was undeniable? That might get all this to stop. I mean, it really could. And I wish that something like that would happen. That would be awesome.
Look at all the sightings that we've had since like 2024. I think a lot of sightings have come and shown themselves. I know that some of it definitely is our military, but I don't think it's all of our military. I think there's beings that are watching to make sure that certain triggers don't get pulled. And I think we are protected to a degree. But mostly I feel we need to do for ourselves. We need to protect ourselves, because the government certainly is not going to show up and help us. And if they do show up with a box of food, I wouldn't eat it.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Gosh, there's some good subjects that would take like a whole live to really cover, because I have a very strong feeling on the Antichrist thing. And we've uncovered some stuff that they have actively been working towards. Creating the perfect conditions for the perfect host. Again, bodies are just vehicles. Recognize that the body is not really you. I had that realization when I was 5 and my brother died. Coming back from the funeral, I was standing in the kitchen. I had my little, fancy duds on, tie and everything at 5-year-old for the funeral. And I was missing my brother. I could always just put my hand up and his hand would come into it all the time. But I was just standing looking at the kitchen and looking at the ugly kitchen table we had. And then all of a sudden it was like somebody was with me and this came into my head. You're not the body. And then I was looking at my body from behind myself. And, I realized it. I think, Cindy did tell me, that was your brother speaking to you, which makes perfect sense. And he's been with me as one of my main guides, all my life. But that realization that I'm not the body. So we do believe there is a creator of this reality. There is a good divine architect, so to speak. And there is a bad architect of this control system that people know of as the demiurge, Yaldabaoth. Running the gauntlet. Yes, good to see you guys, and thank you so much for your support. We are, it's just in us. Even when we're like exhausted and tired, we still just, the drive is there to keep in contact with you guys and to keep you up to date on whatever we can help with.
It is kind of hard to research all of this and gather all the information and bring it together, but it's just what we do. It feels like a calling, so there's like this automatic drive to just do it, and then we all come together at the end of the day, and we get together and we're positive and we put out positive energy for change. I don't know what it's going to look like. I think the world has to go through something. I think it's destiny to go through something, but our power is like how we go through that something. We get to decide how. We don't get to decide the destiny. And that's just my belief. Other people, I'm sure, believe differently. Trying to survive long enough.
Our beloved Mary's in there.
Oh, Mary D. Mary D. Oh my gosh, girl. Big hugs. Sending much love to you too. We were just talking about your happy birthday the other day. That was a few nights ago, though. Good. So happy to see you, dear.
Yeah. So yeah, we are not the body, and the interesting thing too is in yoga, there's a meditation that I've done going back to probably somewhere in my teens. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. Recognizing again that you have this body. There's other entities attached to you that you come into this. We do have guides. Again, in the fundamentalist mindset, the guides are just demons, but that's not the case. You also have elementals working on your body all the time, and you really wouldn't be able to exist without the help of the elemental kingdom. This is part of the stuff that everybody knows in the Bronze Age, but we were kept in the dark about.
Yeah, we've definitely been kept in the dark about a lot of things, but it's coming out. I mean, the apocalypse is here. That I can say. The apocalypse is here, but I think the trick is what are we going to do with the information? Like, how are we going to react? Because, our response is our responsibility to the information that gets uncovered. I don't think it's ever good to fly off the handle or get super upset about anything, or get angry and take it out on your friend who doesn't believe you, because they could be in a spot where they just simply cannot fathom it, and for the mind and the soul to fathom something so horrific, that can cause damage if they're not ready. So just be kind and patient and effective where you can. Oh, thank you, Miss Susan Donahue, with gratitude to you, too. We appreciate you so much. And, I just got to say, Susan Donahue has been here since day one. And, she's always said, we'll get through this together. And she's always said, she's all for team humanity. And that's just beautiful. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you so much, Susan. With much love, and always putting out bubbles of protection out around San Francisco and that area, and with all you guys, because we feel so close to all of you guys. It's just, these bubbles of protection whenever anything happens, like, Mary, I know she went through a lot right now, because of the loss of her mother. And, it's just like we'll do whatever we can to help whenever we can. It's just the way that we are. This Chinese professor, I was listening to him, pretty good.
The last
they,
factor.
They call him a Chinese professor here. Dr. Jiang, interesting take on stuff. And actually, he did do a really good rationalization of what it really means to have all those bases destroyed in the Middle East. And when you look to Trump's personal dealings and business dealings, these areas where those bases were hit, some of these areas also, Trump has had a lot of monetary investments and business dealings in. And, again, there's countries there on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula that have like virtually no water supply without desalination plants. And, those plants can be taken out pretty darn easily. So when you look at the area, and this is what we're talking about, Iran, they have their own challenges. Tehran, we've talked about this before. There's massive sinkholes up in here because they've taken so much of the water out of the water table that it's collapsing all around. This area wouldn't be able to really sustain life without the desalination plants. And so, some of these targets that have been hit, they're one big strike away from, you might not have the ability for your millions of people that are in these cities to live here. And then you would have to have a mass exodus or get things up and running. And, it's just kind of untenable. And this is where we are, and again, when you look to some of these rich places, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, again, Doha, over in Qatar, and, it's really, they're very, very advanced and extravagant. In fact, I mean, gosh, if you've seen it, it's like the recreation of Atlantis. When you look at like Abu Dhabi and stuff, but it's not tenable if there's a war going on. And this is where Iran has a little bit of an upper hand. They have a much bigger upper hand, because when you're talking BRICS, you're talking India and China. India is interesting because, they'll probably try to stay as neutral as possible. But at the same time, they've had conflicts with Pakistan on and off. They've also had conflicts with China on and off. China is strongly aligned with Pakistan, who is in a full state of war right now with Afghanistan. So, this is a big mess, and it's just going to get more complicated as time goes on. But yeah, he was saying, Trump, in his mind, he has more incentive besides even, obviously, if there is blackmailing going on, which we know there's tons of blackmailing going on. I think it would be naive to think there's no blackmailing going on. He still has a lot of incentive. Let's see. I'll go look something up here.
I like it when Mike gets a thought, gets an idea. It gets fun. When he puts together the videos, we have no script, we have no nothing. He just flows with it. And he channels all of it, and it's a lot of fun to watch that creativity flow. I remember when we had Zeke. Zeke, it's like Mike would pick up the microphone and Zeke would walk to the other side of the room, and I would look and I would say, "Why are you on the other side of the room?" And his response is to make room for the others. So it's like all these guides and come in and around. It's really interesting to watch him put stuff together. So it's always fun when he gets a thought.
Yeah, so, this is the thing, because I was poking around his site here a while ago, and when I'm looking at the new developments that he's putting up, here you go: Muscat, Oman, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, right? These all just got hit, right? Doha, Qatar. This is part of what, Wadi Safar in Saudi Arabia. You can see the hotels, the golf course, all this. Billions of dollars we're talking about ultimately with what's been under his control and given to him too, in some cases donations by people like the Saudi family. Again, it's just the way things work. It's horrible to see $1 million $1 million plates at these dinners to fundraise. Man, this world is messed up. When you have cultivated the most corruptible people in the world to get to the highest positions of power, what do we expect? So, it's definitely time for a real change. And of course, was there any other choice? Was Kamala and Biden going to be any better? Obviously not. That was just the worst. It was a weekend at Bernie's for 4 years.
And thank you, Miss Mary Davidson. We appreciate that so much, you guys. It always helps us keep doing these videos and bringing everyone together and support in a time that's really, really pretty difficult.
By the way, we do have a 6.2 in Indonesia. If we look at 30 days, significant, what do we got? Well, you can see the biggest one is this 7.1 in Malaysia. And interestingly enough, there's a 4.1 in Nebraska, a 6.2 over in Chile. So, again, it feels that there are some bigger quakes to come that should have manifested by now. It really does feel like they should have manifested, but they haven't. So I do think Mother Earth is trying to give us as much time as possible.
I think so. The earth is doesn't always seem fair, but she is just. There is justice to be had, I believe. And Lily Blade, did you get any pictures? Yes, I've seen a lot of pictures of the moon, but our skies were a little bit hazy. We missed it.
Yeah, I remember the tall Biden, and he was a little bit extra dorky, and yeah, it's just hilarious. They've been laughing at us. That's the thing, They don't think anybody could pick up on what they're doing. The big shell game. U.S. arranging charter military flights for Americans in the Middle East, and I had saw that Canada, had I think it was over 100,000 people in the region that they were trying to get out. That's a big chunk. So this is a problem. A lot of people are stranded and they're stuck there, and this is escalating. And it does look like it's going to keep escalating. Boy, you don't want to be caught in these areas when all hell breaks loose so far away from home. Here we see U.S. missile destroyers. Iran war escalates. U.S. and Israel pummel Tehran. Furious backlash ongoing, and you had Marco Rubio in an astonishing statement on Capitol Hill said, "We knew there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that it would precipitate an attack against American forces, and we knew if we didn't preemptively go in before them and they launched those attacks, we would have higher casualties." So in other words, Israel made the decision, and it wasn't necessarily the Trump administration making the decision.
Yeah, that's something that's very, everything just is it's so yucky right now.
CIA working to arm the Kurds to spark an uprising in Iran. The Polish psychic has seen there's going to be two countries that when Iran runs lower on missiles, and when Israel explodes that big, or the U.S., I don't think he clearly saw. I think he said in previous ones that it was Israel that does it. Something that looks to be almost nuclear, something really big. That then two countries would immediately attack Israel that haven't done anything yet. So I've always felt it's going to be Turkey and Pakistan. Pakistan is in a war with Afghanistan, but Pakistan, their military dwarfs Afghanistan's military. If their goal is just to shut down and keep Afghanistan from coming into Pakistani territory, that's not going to be hard for them. But it's not easy taking over Afghanistan, as the Soviet Union and U.S. can tell you, because of the terrain. And at the same time, the Kurds are a very sore subject for Turkey. And, if you are arming the Kurds, you irritate Turkey. And, Turkey is a NATO country, but yet, the Polish psychic and I believe it was the other psychic, Isabella, does Isabella Tarot by Isabella. She was picking up on the same thing. So, this is part of what makes me feel a little more confident is if I feel something and I see the Polish psychic and her picking up on the same thing, then it feels, to be a little bit more solid. And, the thought is that Turkey at some point will move. And Turkey is a big military. Believe it or not, it's a very, very large country and a pretty strong military. So, again, stoking the Kurdish uprising could lead to Turkey going in and saying, well, we need more of a buffer. We need to claim this. There's a lot of hatred towards Israel right now from so many different countries. You can't really list them all.
And, I think we should do a tarot by Mike about this whole thing.
Yeah, right? That's fun. I should actually look more in. Yeah, I will. I'll do that tomorrow morning. U.S. says it's facilitating Mideast charter flights. This is what we were just talking about. Again, U.S. and Canada really trying to get as many people out of the area, the general area, as possible, because this is expanding. China building subs that can strike the U.S. from closer to home. Beijing's accelerating production of submarines is set to challenge U.S. undersea dominance. The U.S. still might have higher tech, and that's not really known for sure. China is a secretive country. But as far as the reason why the U.S. was not going to be beaten in World War II was its production. It just simply had more factories, more production capability. That's been taken away from the U.S. on purpose and sent to China on purpose because, and that's just my opinion, because again, those that we know as the weefers and, the rest of that globalist, whatever you want to call them, group, bunch, they've been planning on just simply handing China the role of world military and policing force for really the bankers in the military-industrial complex. Could we keep up with production? And that's a big thing in a wartime scenario. And, the answer is with all the factories have been shut down, no, China can definitely outproduce us. And this is part of why it's been a, it's like a rigged fight, so to speak.
As they all are, I think the ending has already been decided for sure. And, it's just letting all the pieces fall into place, and it's, figuring out what each and every one of us are going to do, while they thug it out. But I really believe that the ending has been decided.
And I also think that things like, when we say what we see and say like that iPad goat thing about them shooting down and sinking the Abraham Lincoln, I think if you get enough people talking about it, that then they back off on that plan, because it will look like, see, the CONS piracy theorists were right again. And I do think it causes them sometimes to change their plan. China calls for ensuring safety of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, which has been officially closed down. So what are they going to do? I mean, that's the question. Are they going to send more ships there and build up their navy? China, by the way, does have the largest navy in the world. Now, you could argue that a lot of it's fishing junks and lower quality. They don't have 11 aircraft carriers like we do. They have just gotten their third completed. But aircraft carriers in this day and age, with all the drone warfare, they might not be the best idea like they were back in the 40s and 50s. Okay, I wanted to just look up something and share with you guys. Okay, there it was. So let's do the comparison. Number one power is the U.S. in the rankings. Number two is Russia, and China number three. But it depends on what you're really talking about. I think again it's the combination of China with Russia that looks unbeatable on paper. So here we see this is them giving their rankings. When you talk about naval power, they actually give the check mark to China. That might be surprising for a lot of people. And China's active personnel is almost double the U.S.'s, but the reality is too they have 5 times the people, so they can definitely draw up more. Their defense budget has been going up year by year, so as the U.S.'s. So they are probably about 40% of the U.S.'s budget. But can they get it done more efficiently? I would venture to say yes. I don't know about the quality, but we all know how we've been, to put it bluntly, so screwed over on, getting value for our tax dollars. When you look to this external debt, that's a huge one, and then when you also look again to reserves, you could see that's another thing. So financially, the U.S. is in a big heap of doo-doo. And in China, financially, they have the largest, they have all sorts of foreign reserve, as you see, number one. So other foreign currencies, they are the largest holder of foreign currencies, and it's not even close. So they have the money. That's the thing. They have the money to keep going. They have the money. The U.S. would probably be forced to use its bigger weapons because they wouldn't be able to keep up with it. Yes, we would dominate the air. As you could see, we have way more aircraft. And, the fighter aircraft's a little closer. But, and we'd probably dominate with tech, but that's really a big question mark. But when it came down to productivity and number of people, we would not be able to keep up with it. So, this is also part of the bigger picture. Some military experts think the U.S. cannot wait any longer if they want to keep their hegemony and stay the big dog on the planet. They have to initiate this now. They have no other choice, is what those that are military-minded think. So, as you can see, the strikes are still ongoing, and they are numerous, and they're in many different countries. We are constantly putting out the intentions of peace. If you miss this, as you see this presidential action here, winning the 6G race, Trump signed a directive to accelerate 6G deployment, to operate implantable technologies, AI brain chips known as biological interface systems to cortex. Yeah, they want to attach it to your cortex. And I'm sure there are super soldiers out there that already have that implanted. I think the realization of super soldiers is going to be something that we'll see shortly. We'll probably even hear stories about it. And David Icke saying Trump is the wrecking ball of the old cult order and the facilitator of the new 6G, interacting with implanted nanotech in a total human AI control system. Yeah, this is not good. Not good at all.
No, I was wondering, yesterday we were looking at something about who was funding all the data centers, and I found that to be curious, where all that money was coming out of.
Yeah, well, there's obviously Palantir. When you're going to need more security, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different terrorist incidents that probably pop up as the war goes on. So, another opportunity to put in more high-tech surveillance. I've seen, Thiel walked up to on the streets with people that know what he's up to, and he looks to me like a real irritable guy. Just saying.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's got a wedgie or something.
Or two. Yuck.
Yeah, absolutely. So Trump says the Iranian Navy, Air Force are destroyed. And he also said Germany's helping out. Not France and the UK, but Germany is helping out, is what Trump said as he's here meeting with Merz from Germany. Again, this is part of the bigger picture ongoing. Oil prices rising. I watched the gas prices. They weren't bad yet. They did go up a little bit. I probably should have filled up. I forgot to. And by the way, people like Ellen DeGeneres, Leo DiCaprio, Oprah, they might want to head for the hills because, what's been coming out about these people. Yeah, I think we will see new witch hunts, and it's coming. There's just so much that's come out.
It's just, even all the shows and the movies these people play in, it just puts a bad taste in your mouth to watch them again, as the years tick on. I do hope people continue to rise up and demand something, demand something. I mean, this can't just go on. I mean, this is like the worst thing ever imaginable, and they had no problems doing it. In fact, they probably smiled and did what they did. I just can't fathom the level in which they are able to exist right now. And it's up to us to, put a squeeze on these people so they can't make a living and exist here. It's not right.
Okay, Susan said it better. There might be a run on torches and pitchforks. That's what I was trying to, exactly. That's the picture that's in my mind. So you're doing a good job of seeing that visually with me there, Susan. Yeah, there's so much that we just can't, it's just, it sucks. Remember Tom Hanks Lost? Remember Bosom Buddies and all that? And Titanic and, oh my gosh, really, you have to sell your soul to the devil to make it that large. That's just the bottom line. You don't get that big without being part of the system and literally making a deal with the devil. I'm calling on, this is Comer, by the way, 7 individuals to appear for transcribed interviews. Gil Bates, number 1. Catherine Rumler, Leon Black, Leslie Groff, Sarah Kellen, Ted Waite, Doug Band. What are they going to do? They're interviewing. That's it. Oh, did you hear that Hillary showed her true face? Did you hear that? Let's see.
Typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
Oh, for heaven's
So I would
sake.
like to understand how that's permissible.
It doesn't matter. We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
I
well,
would like to take a break at this moment.
yeah,
I would like to have
I'm
a
done
conversation.
for now.
Go off the record.
Sorry, guys. There was an incoming call at that time. But you can see, I think they did do a good job of catching the true inner Hillary.
I think they did good. Yes.
Yeah, and that is actually very much like what a Draco really does look like. Isn't that really curious? True, 2 subtropical systems activate simultaneously in the South Atlantic. First such overlap documented in modern monitoring era. These are 2 tropical disturbances in the southern hemisphere. The point really is that we are seeing weather that we've never seen before. Never seen before. Why? Is it just part of the natural cycle? Is it, again, the technology? Is it part of the mud flood and, geomagnetic excursion? Is it Nibiru, Planet X coming in closer? There's a lot of people with a lot of really, really interesting thoughts on all that.
I think everyone's thoughts need to be out there really good.
Increased seismic activity recorded at the Bulusan volcano in the Philippines. Again, more and more coming online. More and more volcanoes. Also, more and more records falling. Canada records the lowest temperature in decades. Record snowfall in the winter of 2025-2026. So much for global warming. It's just really the extremes are getting more extreme. How about rosemary? I almost bought a new rosemary bush today. I was just going to wait, though, because our little garden shop, which is family run, told me that Thursday they're getting in a big shipment of stuff. So I'll be heading down there probably Thursday or Friday to stock up. I did get some basil. I got a little mint. And, we're going to do a lot of planting this year. A lot of planting. Rosemary is really, truly an amazing herb. And it can boost your memory by an astonishing 75%. Scientists discovered that the scent of this common herb helps the brain break down a compound called acetylcholine, a key chemical that supports learning, focus, and memory retention. Do you know it's not a coincidence that all these things that really work to heal us, that have natural buffers, because what scientists do is they isolate components so it could be patented so they can make money on it, and take away the natural buffers, which are there to make things safer for us. But everything we need is really in nature. It's been provided for us because that was part of the plan. And again, whether you look at it as God or the Galactic Federation, benevolent ETs, the Devas that did that, you can say all of the above.
You sure can.
Absolutely. It's rosemary. Absolutely. Very powerful. How about this? Right away Cindy says what they're doing is they're telling you the constellation that they came from.
That's what I felt. That's really truly what I felt that was. But it could be, it could be a fleet, and I thought fleet, but then I looked at it again and I thought, no, that looks like a pattern. So I do believe they're telling you which star system they are from.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just kind of getting an impression and wondering if that was it, 'cause initially, like right off when we looked at this, I got the feeling of Deneb. So, that's the type of thing when you get used to like looking for things that pop in your mind, but you weren't necessarily thinking of it. That's usually the guides that are coming through. This is George Knapp. He's done a lot of good, fun work over the years. He says 2 scientists working at Skinwalker Ranch told him they witnessed a glowing portal open in the air and a humanoid figure stepped out of it before disappearing. Yeah, again, we are not bound to being just on the earth. When we're out of the body, we can go anywhere instantaneously. And many of these beings are not in bodies like we are. Per se, or they also have the ability to alter their frequency so they can manifest a body, a vehicle, or unmanifest.
I think there's just so many things out there that we cannot fathom, but they're there.
Yeah, we have a lot more to share on portals that we will be doing coming soon. This is a creature that lives 1,170 meters below the ice of Antarctica. It has 20 arms. It looks like it comes from another planet. There's a lot of stuff in the deep, dark ocean that would probably freak you out if you saw it.
I want 2.
Oh yeah, put it in a little 10-gallon aquarium. That would be kind of mean. This man, Raul Balecki, he's doing a great job. He's uncovering all these ancient megalithic sites in Peru. And, man, I'm jealous, Israel. I want to go to Peru. I want to go and, explore these places, too.
I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah. His channel, you could find him. You could do a search on YouTube and you'll find him by his name. But I am subscribed to his channel. It's a good channel. And Chris Bledsoe shares a video of an orb during a thunderstorm. When you look at it, it appears there's an eye forming because, again, portals, we're able to see through portals, and entities can use portals. I've had a lot of encounters of the 4th density, third eye kind that are again, similar to this. When... Ask yourself, like, how many of you guys, when you're going to bed at night and you're laying down in bed, all of a sudden you can notice when it gets bright and the room is dark and your eyes are closed, but all of a sudden gets real bright. But if you don't fall right asleep, if you catch yourself there, that's part of starting to control yourself with astral projection.
I know when I was going through one of my awakenings, one of the stronger awakening, I would close my eyes and then it looked exactly like someone had put a dimmer lamp right in front of me and they would turn up the knob and it would be so bright in my forehead and then turn it down and turn it up and turn it down. And if I did not know what was happening, I would have gone crazy because it was so wild to have that, I was like witnessing that pineal gland come activated in that moment. It was so incredible. And then just the other night, I shut my eyes and there's like this big huge bright light up on the left side of coming in through the left side of my head. And you're just it's kind of weird. You shut your eyes, you figure you're gonna see just black and go to sleep, but there's big boom, like this big light comes on. It's really wild.
Yeah, and I shared with you guys, I think I shared it besides on Patreon, that Cindy had picked up stuff about the island and the e-files and everything, and she had picked up who the E-Man was working for, which, by the way, is a very famous entity from the Anunnaki tales. Yeah, the Enki guy himself is literally who Epstein was reporting to. And then I was trying to get more information, so I'm focusing on, the E-Man and his island, and I was focusing on that blue and white cube of a building, and then all of a sudden, this portal it's like a 4D portal opened up in the room, and I saw a Draco, and it was angry at me, and it caused me to jump out of my skin. It was so shocking.
It is. Some things are crazy, but I really love how this family took this doggy down the slide, and how much that puppy appreciated it, and he wants to do it again.
This is again why they're so concerned. Why is it now that everything's happening? It's because we're waking up. We're truly waking up. We have amazing abilities that are coming alive, awakened, and they've been shut off again by the system. And now, we take the fluoride out of the water, we clean up our diets. People are not drinking alcohol. There so many people are stopping alcohol that it's really causing problems for the alcohol industry. We're cleaning up, and we're going to be very, very dangerous to the system just from our abilities and our ability perspective.
Yep, keep a going.
So Cindy's going to give us some dings, and I will say Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free, and may my own thoughts, actions, words, and deeds every day contribute to the happiness and freedom of all beings. That is our purpose. That is really why we do this.
All right, I want to say a huge thank you to Viv B. Thank you so much. KK, Mary D, and Susan D. You guys, we really appreciate it. You help keep the channel going. And let's think some happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. Let's manifest a great, wonderful life here on this planet. Here we go. You guys are amazing. Source bless and namaste.
Much love, guys. We'll catch you maybe tomorrow at the same time, same place. Much love. Stay safe. Namaste.